Honestly, getting back into the real world does not seem real. Like I have 1,562 text messages. I haven't processed anything yet. I'm like, my husband and my son are like, they watched it like they were watching a Rams game. So they're giving me a debrief, but I'm still completely lost.
So obviously you were officially backdoored. You didn't even get a chance to play in the veto. Does that make it harder to like accept this, that you're first out?
I mean, of course, because I would have fought so hard to stay in had I been given the opportunity. And it's, you want to be able to, I personally would have given somebody a fair fight. So to be backdoored is super frustrating. And I trusted Misha. So it's like, ugh, but it is what it is. I'm happy to be back with my family.
Yeah, I mean, you did fight all week. We saw you campaigning. Why do you think they ultimately they targeted you, they voted you out over Todd? Why?
Because I think I'm a bigger threat than Todd. I think they knew that physically and mentally, I had a better social game, and ultimately, in the athletics department, I showed my cards right at the beginning. I couldn't help myself.
No, I mean, you did great in that competition.
And I'm so frustrated because I could have held on longer, but I was like, oh, I don't know how quickly I'll have my next competition, and I don't want to like hurt myself up here. But had I known I was going to have so much time between competitions, I would have held on.
Yeah. What did you think when she didn't want to make that deal, but then had just given Todrick a deal?
I knew at that moment that I was a target.
All right, let's talk about the vote. So who were you most surprised by in terms of voting you out? Lamar, Shayna, Chris Kirkpatrick, Mariah, Todrick?
I would say that I was most surprised probably by Mariah, because I really went to bat for Mariah multiple times in the house. I don't know how much was shown. So she gave me a look when we were sitting there, like, you're gonna be okay. And so that was kind of shocking to me, but I know that she would do anything to win. So I guess it's not that shocking.
She's an Olympian. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, there's only so much we can pretend that she can't handle the pressure. She's been to the Olympics more than one time.
I know you told Julie that you felt in the moment last night most betrayed by Todrick. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship? Where did that kind of fall apart?
I didn't realize, but I guess it fell apart it was never our relationship was never actually real, because from the very get-go, even when we formed our alliance, he had already been telling people in my alliance that he didn't want me in there. So I guess whatever relationship I thought we had was false to him. But I kind of knew, because he was like pulling on people's heartstrings. Like he was like, I'm having to fund my own tour and all of these things. And like, this is such a big thing for me. I need to win financially. And, that's where you really get people, because some of us are just playing the game. But then he, towards the end, he would say things like, oh yeah, I was considering buying a $250,000 Wizard of Oz costume. And you're like, what? Something's not tracking here. Like, you're financially all right if you have a movie theater in your house and you're buying $250,000 costumes.
Fair enough. We did hear like a little bit about some tension with some other house guests. Can you tell us a little bit, like, did you have any arguments with anyone else in the house that we didn't get to see?
I had an argument, like an actual argument with Todd. And so that we didn't see that, but he like just kind of threw around some words that weren't great. And I was like, my kids are going to see this and I need you to stop saying this before we go live. And so we had a moment. Had I known I wasn't safe, I probably would have just let it roll off my shoulders. But I thought I was safe in the moment and doing the best thing for the house, because he was kind of saying it to everybody. So that I made a big mistake there.
How was your relationship with Chris Kirkpatrick?
I knew he was playing the game. I mean, he was playing the game hard. And there was a couple things that happened in the house where I really had his back. But I mean, his level of fan obsession with Misha, there was nothing I was going to do to break that.
Yeah, he was a little starstruck.
I mean, I was like, listen, I'm not going to be kissing the ring here.
How do you think you would have fared if Mariah was still sitting next to you?
Oh, I think that would have been the same result because they're in alliance together. So once it was somebody that continued to be in their alliance and a strong player in their alliance, I know I had no shot.
Yeah. Who do you think you'll still talk to after the game? Who are you still friends?
Cynthia and Carson. And even though Shayna ultimately went against me, I'll still talk to her because I know she's playing the game hard because, you know, her family and her life. And, you know, she's been wronged a lot of times. And I think I ultimately have empathy for her. And I think Lamar is freaking hilarious.
I will say, you know, Shayna was like crying when you left. She was pretty upset that she had to vote you out.
I know. She did what she had to do. She knew that I wasn't going to be able to be safe. Oh, you know what? And Chris Kattan was really, like, he was a good guy too.
I have to ask, your dad posted a really funny Instagram that kind of made some headlines. He was like, I don't know what show Teddi's on, but it premieres tonight. What did you, I guess, tell him about what you were doing?
Well, not much. I just told him that we couldn't talk for potentially 1 month. And so I tried to explain it to him, but he is one of the only people other than my family that live in my house with me that I've spoken to. And he called last night and he just said, I'm so proud of you, honey. Like, you know, me and your brothers watched and you played with integrity. And that's all I could ever ask for in my daughter. And it like made me emotional because that was my one goal. Like I needed to play a fair game.
Yeah. And Teddi, like, I have to give you credit. You really campaigned. You really wanted to stay. As like a fan of the show, it was really nice to see that because sometimes celebrities go in there and they're like, whatever. Like, I don't care if I leave, but it was really great to see you fight for that. And
I don't know if you saw this, but did you guys see Misha and Chris Kirkpatrick try to get me to turn on Carson and I wouldn't. I'm so scared he's the next to go.
Yeah, I know. Are you rooting for Carson and Cynthia, would you say?
Yeah. And Shayna, even though she turned on me, I'm rooting for my entire Quattro Alliance. That was our name.
Oh, really? Well, speaking of alliances, it seemed like a bunch of them didn't hold. What were you thinking about formation? Did you actually think that was going to last?
Well, I was warned prior going into the house not to trust Todrick by someone that personally knows him. But he was so lovely to me at first that I fell for it. But I never approached them for an alliance. They came to me. So I think that's why I believed it. However, I knew that, I mean, you can't keep an alliance of 6 for that long. When you were asked to be on this show, did you have any hesitation or were you like, no, I'm definitely doing it? I love a challenge. I love to compete. So it was the only hesitation was, you know, to leave my family. But otherwise, like, it was nice to not have my phone. I was able to have a break from social media, like all that kind of stuff was a positive. But the paranoia game is high in that house. It's unbelievable. Okay, I have to wrap up soon, but I'd love to know, do you have any regrets? Anything you think you could have done to stay in the game, or do you think your fate was kind of sealed? I guess my only regret, no, actually I don't. I played a fair fight. I was loyal to the people I said I'd be loyal to. And anytime I changed my mind, I was straightforward to it. Ultimately, I guess I could have played less hard in the first competition, but I wanted to be able to show my kids, like, you want to win, you got to try hard.